and good day. Welcome to Agenda. I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time. For today's starter quote from author John Maxwell, who you let speak into your life is important. It's more than just the words they say. What they say will teach you, but who they are will change you. Now let's take a look at the front page of the Philippine Star. In the face of China's increasingly aggressive maneuvers, President Bongbong Marcos and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida agreed to cooperate for the planned reciprocal access agreement, which is expected to strengthen both countries' coast guards. The said agreement will allow Manila and Tokyo to send troops to each other's territory for joint drills and training. In related news, President Marcos vows to continue striving for peace as tensions in the West Philippine Sea have increased in recent months. PBBM also said that he is open to, quote, new solutions as various security challenges continue to emerge. The low-pressure area spotted east of Surigao del Sur has developed into a tropical depression, Kabayan. Pagasa reports that Kabayan is the 11th cyclone to enter the Philippines this year. Signal number 1 is raised in various provinces in Visayas and in Mindanao. And the Agriculture Department spokesperson Arnel de Mesa assures the public that rice supply will be enough in 2024. This comes after the Group Federation of Free Farmers, or the Group Federation of Free Farmers, warned that the rice crisis this 2023 could worsen in the following year. The DA, however, says that a 90-day national stock inventory is expected to be produced by the end of December. The Philippine Ports Authority, or the PPA, is demanding an explanation from a third-party transport service and a ship agency over the messy disembarkation of a cruise ship at the Port of Manila last month. We will talk to an official of the PPA to get an update about this, but first, let's watch this video.
A harrowing experience. This is how netizen Nelson Terrible described his experience when MV Norwegian Jewel disembarked its passengers at the Port of Manila a couple of weeks ago. In the viral Facebook post, Terrible, a passenger on the cruise, said there was a lack of concern on the part of the Philippine Ports Authority personnel in ensuring a safe disembarkation experience. In response, the PPA said they were also disappointed with the incident. The agency blamed the contracted third-party transport service Asian Terminals Incorporated and the vessel's ship agent, Ben Line Agencies, for the lack of personnel assisting the passengers. It also maintained that the incident is just an isolated one. How can the PPA ensure that the chaotic passenger experience will not happen again in the future? Let's discuss this on today's agenda.
Eunice Samonte is Philippine Ports Authority's spokesperson since 2022. She is also a television anchor at the state channel PTV. Samonte is also a columnist and a professor at De La Salle University, Dasmariñas.
And good morning, Ms. Eunice Samonte, spokesperson of the Philippine Ports Authority, or the PPA. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Sir Ed, and good morning to everyone.
Well, to be honest with you, when I saw the name Terrible, I thought it was an adjective, not a noun, to describe what happened on that day. I think it was November 30th at Manila Port. Have you received any explanation from ATI, Asian Terminals, Incorporated, or Ben Line on what really happened on that day?
Actually, Sir Ed, you were right. There was a joke going on, like this is a terrible thing that happened actually. But as of now, we're expecting the explanation from Ben Line agencies and from the ATI. So first of all, we want to apologize to all the people because we are also dismayed about what happened to every passenger. Karaniwan po kasi doon mga senior citizens, Sir Ed. So kami po ay nakikisimpatya. Lalo na po marami rin talaga pong naabala, not only the passengers but also pati na rin po yung mga motorists that day, November 30. There was a long traffic dito po sa Eva Macapagal that day.
Can you give us an idea paano yung hatian ng responsibilities? Kasi of course there's mention of the ship agent. And there's also mention of the operator. I'm not sure if that's is ATI the operator of the cruise ship or the operator of the disembarkation process. I'm not really certain. Versus, for example, the responsibility of the the Philippine Ports Authority. Ano yung mga hatian ng responsibilities?
So Sir Ed, pag dumarating po kasi yung isang cruise ship dito sa Port of Manila, meron po yung pre-arrival meeting, no? Kasama po yung terminal operator, which is yung ATI, at saka po yung cruise ship agent na very vital yung role. At ito po yung Benline agencies. At syempre po ang PPA in support to this, no? Sa pre-arrival meeting po Sir Ed, nagkaroon po ng commitment itong Benline agencies, yung kanila pong ship agent, na magbibigay sila ng traffic management control ng mga tao, saka po yung ibibigay din po nila yung mga porters. Kaso po, nung araw po na yon, November 30, ang nangyari po nasa 20 porters lang po yung nakadeploy at nasa 9 lang po yung shuttle bus na kanilang pinrovide. So, napakasakla po nung nangyari dahil ang nagpa-worst pa nung scenario, Sir Ed, yung mga pababa po ng cruise ship ay sumalubong doon po sa mga papunta. So another blunder ay hindi na i-coordinate agad ng ship agent doon sa mga pasahero na dapat beyond 11 a.m. pa sila pupunta. Kasi po 8 a.m. yung pagbaba ng mga pasahero mula doon sa cruise ship. 8 a.m. din sakto, sumalubong naman po yung mga papunta doon na pasahero. So usually po kasi kapag may darating na cruise ship, bababa lang yung mga pasahero para po magpunta sa Intramuros, Luneta Park. Pero ang nangyari po dito, pagbaba nila, meron din sumalubong na pasakay. So hindi po natin alam kung nagtitipid po ba yung ship agent at pinagsabay-sabay na po. At yun po yung nangyari dahil 2,300 po yung pasakay, 2,500 po yung pababa. So talaga pong we're talking about 4,000 plus passengers and there's only 9 shuttle and 20 porters na hindi pa po naka-uniform.
In that particular case, at least in that particular instance, where you're, I suppose, looking at the question of scheduling, which I think would be a controllable issue. I mean, it's simply a time management issue. Have we had this kind of experience before, or have we had this kind of problem before? Or in other words, what I'm trying to get at is, I'm really not familiar how often we have cruise ships coming and going into the Philippines. Akala ko nga dating cruise ships na malalaki sa abroad na sinasalubong yan. Yung pala meron tayo dito. So are we properly equipped with, number one, the infrastructure, port facilities, and the logistics infrastructure, meaning shuttles and porters for this kind of operation? And number two, how is the management of scheduling of embarkations and disembarkations done? Who's in charge of that, and how is that done? How has it been done in the past?
That's a very good point, Sir Ed. Pang beauty queen. But yeah, Sir Ed, this is not the first time na dumaong po itong mga cruise ship dito sa Port of Manila. As you can recall, we had cruise ships before, 3 cruise ship at the same time here in Port of Manila, and there's no problem, and everything went smooth, Sir Ed. Even ito pong itong Norwegian vessel na ito, nagdaong sila sa Boracay, sa Ilocos, and wala naman po naging problema. So when it comes to port facilities, we can say that we are equipped in receiving these big cruise ships. And actually, we have a campaign nga po Papasyal tayo campaign. So we're encouraging our locals and our tourists to come here in the Philippines. But we're actually, as well as the passengers, are dismayed about what happened dahil nga po dito sa cruise agent saka sa terminal operator. But ayun nga po kay PPA General Manager Jason Tiago, we're expecting the reply of these cruise ship agent and the terminal operator today. And worst comes to worst, kung hindi talaga po mag-reply itong mga ito, ayon po kay GM Santiago, we might cancel na rin the arrival of cruise ships here in Port of Manila kasi nakakahiya po sa mga turista na ganito yung kanilang maaabutan. Katulad na lamang nung nangyari nga po dito sa viral post ng Cruise Chaos.
So, ma'am, it was not an infrastructure problem. It was more of a scheduling problem. Did I get that right? Kasi sabi nga ninyo, this has been done before and there were no problems before. It's just that I suppose somebody screwed up dun sa scheduling. Pinagsabay-sabay. You're looking at what? 5,000 all in all people coming and going with 20 porters. Gira yan.
Yes, sir. This is not an infrastructure problem. In fact, we have been developing our ports na talagang cruise ship ready siya. And we have actually another one in Siargao. We're building a cruise ship terminal there. So everything po sa infrastructure ay nakalatag na, Sir Ed. It's just that there was some miscoordination when it comes to the cruise ship agent na pinili po ng cruise ship na ito. And of course, the terminal operator as well. So may pre-arrival meeting naman and everything was laid down. I don't think there was a pagkukulang on the part of PPA. But then again, Sir Ed, infrastructure, we are ready po to receive big cruise ships.
Mhm. Okay, looking forward, how do we avoid this happening again? You did mention that there was a I think a pre-arrival meeting or well, some sort of meeting before the cruise ship arrived. I would suppose that in that meeting, people talked about numbers and who's coming and who's going, and somebody should have pointed out or must have pointed out na, teka, parang alangan natang magkakasabay sila. I don't know. I'm just picking it off the top of my head na the fact that you had the fact that they had the meeting that should have come up.
Mhm. In fact, Sir Ed, during the pre-arrival meeting, there was an agreement na dapat beyond 11 a.m. pupunta yung mga pasakay po na mga cruise
Okay.
passengers. But what happened was 8 a.m., as early as 8 a.m. habang inaayos yung mga Bureau of Immigration, yung mga papeles ng mga pababa, saka naman pupunta yung mga pasakay na passengers. So, dapat na i-coordinate po talaga yun ng cruise ship agent dahil ipaliwanag ko lang din po na kapag meron pong dumadaong na cruise ship, yung cruise ship agent po mainly responsible for the passengers, of course.
Mhm. Okay, well, are we looking at any necessary changes in I don't know, in operations, in systems, in processes, or whatever to make sure that this does not happen again? Has the PPA looked or found any need to make amendments to the processes?
Yes, Sir Ed, GMJ investigated this matter and he mentioned na there should be more coordination between the cruise ship agent and the terminal operator as well as with the PPA because what happened in the pre-arrival meeting did not happen in the actual November 30 cruise chaos. So, ayun po, when it comes to coordination talaga, Sir Ed. But other than that, we have been handling cruise ships even before and there's no problem with the coordination. So mainly it's, I think, Sir Ed, it's an isolated case as well.
Okay. Can you give us an idea how many cruise ships we have coming and going into the Philippines? I mean, I'm talking about international cruise ships, I suppose. How many huge vessels come in and bring in and take out people versus how much we can handle? Can you give us any rough idea on that?
Sir Ed, this year we had 40,000 passengers from cruise ship. That is from January to October.
Okay.
And we're expecting another 40,000 more this December. So, ganun po kadami. Actually, marami talagang dumadaong na po na cruise ship. Karamihan po sa Ilocos Norte, no, sa ating pong Port of Curimao. And then dito rin po sa Port of Manila and of course sa Boracay, marami rin po diyang bumababang mga tourists but wala naman pong problema when it comes to their disembarkation and yung embarkation nila. So this one lang po sa Port of Manila lang talaga yung nagkaroon ng problema.
But for example, December is usually, holiday season or holiday month. Do you expect a spike in number of people coming in or coming to the Philippines through cruise ships? And are we prepared for that?
Yes, Sir Ed, I can assure the public that we are prepared for this December peak season for the tourists. We have around 40,000. We're expecting around 40,000 passengers this month. We have cruise ships from Norwegian vessel, and then we also have, I think, from Holland and American cruise ships. So I'll get back to you with the numbers of cruise ship coming in, but then we have a lot of cruise ships coming in, especially this December.
Okay, but I'm also wondering how the cruise ship operators, or in this case the Norwegians, reacted to what happened. Is there any possibility we'll be blacklisted because of what happened?
That is another point that GMG Santiago is considering right now, Sir Ed, because this is not something that that is normal every day, especially po kasi ang dami talagang cruise ship na dumadaong na rin dito. And ito lang naman talaga yung nangyari pong terrible nga, Sir Ed, sabi nga dun sa post. So yes, there's a possibility po.
Mhm. Now, as far as I don't know, compensation is concerned, for those passengers who were affected or whose lives were disrupted, at least for the day, is there any possibility that they will get anything out of this in terms of, I don't know, compensation? May ganun ba klaseng insurance? O wala naman?
I hope, Sir Ed, they get something out of it, no? Because ang meron po talaga yung, kunyari po sa pagdaon ng cruise ship, yung cruise ship agent, siya po yung responsible sa mga passengers. And then yung PPA doon po sa pantalan sa kanilang pagdaong. But then, I hope they get something out of it.
But I mean, di ba, in many airlines, if there are delays, they get goodies kahit paano eh. But I'm not sure if that's mandated, but they often get goodies if you get bumped off, or if you get delayed, at least you get you get some freebies like food. Is there any such thing when it comes to to cruise ships and the like? Are they? Is the operator required to provide certain amenities in cases like these? Or wala naman?
I think, Sir Ed, they are not required, but just like pag nababump off sa airplane na po, there should be like something to appease at least the passengers affected. So it's the responsibility po of the terminal operator and the cruise ship agent.
Yeah. Well, I only bring that up kasi nasa pantalan ka di ba? Tapos and as has been mentioned earlier, marami sa mga mga senior citizens Not that I'm affected, but marami sa mga senior citizens And it's a bit difficult, sa pantalan ng mga senior citizens. So I can imagine the frustration of some people.
Yes. Actually, Sir Ed, they lack wheelchairs then that day, November 30. So us in PPA, we also provided mga wheelchairs para dun sa mga senior citizens, especially po kasi mga retirees din ito to
Yeah.
mga sa cruise ship. Kaya talagang napakaraming mga people of old age and we really sympathize with them. In the PPA po, we have free water refilling station dyan sa Port of Manila and free charging station. But of course, yung mga freebies or for example, yung something to appease the passengers, I think that should be with the cruise ship agent po talaga.
Mm-hmm. Okay. By the way, do you have any deadlines for the explanation from the two groups? Yung what's the name again?
Benline
ATI and Benline.
The cruise ship agent, and ATI is the terminal operator. General Manager Jason Chago gave a deadline, which is ASAP. So we're actually expecting it today. I asked him this morning, and he said we're expecting it today po.
Okay. Okay. But we are in close contact, I suppose, with Benline and with the Asian terminals.
Yes, Sir Ed. Actually, we're still in the close coordination with them until now, but they don't have a reply yet. So we're still waiting up to this day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, last question lang. Wala silang kahit anong explanation na binigay? I know you're waiting for the official explanation and you're waiting for a lengthy answer, but wala silang binigay na kahit anong paliwanag?
As of today, Sir Ed, wala pa po. But we're actually expecting, we're hearing explanation like from the media as well na they have been trying to connect also with Benline agencies, and up to now, we're still not getting anything.
Okay, we'd like to say thank you to Ms. Eunice Samonte, also of PTV4 and the spokesperson of the Philippine Ports Authority. Eunice, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Sir Ed, and thank you for the chance to clarify it to the public as well.
Thank you. Stay tuned as we continue to discuss today's agenda after the break. Keep it here in One News, all sides, all the time.
Senator Robin Padilla is once pushing for charter change, and this time the lawmaker seeks to introduce amendments in some political provisions of the Constitution. In a resolution, Padilla proposes that the President and Vice President shall be elected as joint candidates by direct vote of the people for a term of 4 years. They will be allowed to serve for 2 terms. Meanwhile, the number of senators would grow to 54. 24 of them would be elected at the national level, and their terms would be expanded from the current 6 years to 8 years with 1 re-election stint. The remaining 30 senators would be elected by region, and they'd be allowed 3 consecutive terms.
Na panahon na para magkaroon ng tamang representasyon yung mga region. At sa palagay ko naman, handa naman ng Senado dyan dahil nung huling pumasyal kami doon sa pinagagawang bagong gusali ng Senado, ang daming opisina.
The terms of the members of the House of Representatives, on the other hand, would be expanded to 4 years from the current 3. Local officials would also have 4-year terms with up to 3 consecutive terms. Senator Padilla says he's now conducting a public information drive on his proposed amendments. He added that he's speaking with Senator Coco Pimentel's wing of the PDP Laban to ask for their support for the resolution. Padilla is also confident that the resolution will gain support, claiming that even Senate President Big Zubiri is open to it. Let's discuss this further on today's agenda.
Attorney Christian Monsod is one of the framers of the 1987 Constitution. For a time, Monsod also served as chairman of the Commission on Elections. He is the founder and honorary chairman of the Legal Network for Truthful Elections.
And welcome back to Agenda. I'm Ed Lingao. We have with us, I'm glad to say, Attorney Christian Monsod, one of the framers of the 1987 Constitution. Good morning, Attorney Monsod, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Morning, Ed.
Yes, sir. Sir, okay po. Good to have you, sir, on board. Sir, for the longest time, all these proposals for constitutional change have been centered now on economic provisions. Now we have finally somebody saying that, no, we want political changes in the Constitution, in the legislature, with Robin Padilla's resolution for both houses number 5. And again, we're looking at significant changes that Mr. Padilla is pushing, doubling the number of senators, changing the terms of office, and tandem voting. All these things have been discussed for the last 35, 36 years already. Your thoughts, sir, on this coming up all over again?
Well, let's put it this way. Hindi naman laging economic provisions lang. There have been 6 attempts to change the Constitution. And except for one, involved din yung shift to a federal parliamentary system. But ang lahat na yun hindi natuloy, either inatras, pareho ng ginawa ni President Duterte noong 2018, o walang public support. So ang question, bakit walang public support? Kasi po, ang pagtingin ng tao diyan is pangsarilian. Yung ginagawa nila, for example, sa Senate, yung national elected senators,
yes,
magiging 16 years, 8 plus 8. Ngayon, 6 plus 6. And if you look at all the provisions na pinopropose, yung House, for example, instead of 9, magiging 12 years. Yung local government, instead of 9, magiging 12 years. And part of it is, of course, the question of adapting to it. No? My question is, under his proposal, meron bang election sa 2025?
Yeah, that's a big question. It's already next year. Almost next year. It's 1 month to 2024.
Kaya sinasabi niya, yung daw pagbabago mag-uumpisa sa 2028 in order to align the elections. That means, kung walang 2025, yung mga elected na senators, for example, noong 2019, instead of the term ending at 2025, meron silang extra 3 years.
Mhm.
Ganun din yung mga three-term congressman o three-term local government officials na dapat magkaroon ng election sa 2025, magkakaroon sila ng extra 3 years in office. So it's pang sarili, pampahaba yung kanilang stay in office without being elected.
Mhm.
Di ba?
Mhm.
Lahat naman ganun eh. Yung mga kanilang proposals before, meron pa nga yung in the House, di ba, na babaguhin yung time of office from the president down to the local officials, 5 years plus 5 years, of course 10. Ganyan kasi kaya ang tao na maasim sa kanila yan, kasi sabi, pang sarili yan. Either power plus money, opportunities for money. We are notorious in the world for corruption.
And yes, sir. And sir, the other thing I've heard time and again, and this was also something that came up when the commission drafted its proposals for federalism, was the increase in the bureaucracy. In this particular case, you're doubling the number of senators from 24 to plus additional 30.
54. In other words, mag-a-add siya ng 30 because of the regional senators. Ang question ko sa Congress, bakit ito ang kanilang ine-emphasize? Bakit hindi nila mag-enact ng anti-dynasty law na nag-aantay tayo ng 36 years, they have not passed an anti-dynasty law? Kasi sa kanilang benefit yan. Yung feudalistic system of dynastic families. Pati yung mga ibang countries sinasabi na tayo, tagal-tagal na yan, centuries old na yung feudalistic system na yan. Hindi ba? As nakalagay sa constitution yan, dapat sila mag-define kung ano yung political dynasty. 36 years, hindi nila pinapasayan. Number 2, why don't they pass a law to amend the party list law? Kasi dyan, abuso. Ang daming abuso nila dyan. Doon sa party list law, maliwanag naman na kailangan at least 3 amendments lang sa party list law para matuwid yan as a truly yung tinatawag na proportional representation in our Congress. 3 lang, anti-dynasty law, tapos alisin yung limit of 3. Kasi ngayon, pag mayroong partido na they entitled to say 6, 7, or 8 representatives, they're only given 3. Ang question, kanino binibigay yung boto ngayon? Ang ginagawa nila ngayon, binibigay nila ng tigigisa yung mga naiwan, magkaroon ng representative, maski na iba ang ideology, maski na iba yung advocacy, that is wrong.
It is a purpose.
Yes, and number 3, it's related to sa Supreme Court decision na ni Justice Carpio, nga merong phrase dyan on who are qualified to be party list representative is meron track record of advocacy. Right? Track record. Kasi dapat member siya talaga kung farmer, kung whatever it is, urban poor. Pero may palusot. Pag meron kang track record of advocacy, pwede kang maging representative. Kaya yung isang resident ng Forbes Park, naging representative ng tricycle drivers. Mali yan. Mali yan. So,
security guard, sir.
Yes. Of course, the Supreme Court is partly to blame kasi meron silang 2 defective decisions. And finally, the decision of Justice Antonio Carpio is the correct one. And he cited this. Bakit meron pang pwede mag-qualify with track record? Lahat naman pwede magsabi, nag-speech ako yan for the tricycle drivers, kaya ako advocate ako. Naging siya, representative siya ng party list sa Congress, naging congressman. Hindi po ba? Yung anak ni former President Arroyo, gano'n yan.
Si Mikey.
Hindi ba?
Yes,
ang dami ang batas natin, ang daming batas na pwedeng patuwirin natin na dapat social justice ang ating team at para yung ating growth, yung ating poverty, yung ating inequality. Imbis yan, ang kanilang gustong ipasok sa Constitution are provisions that benefit them for more power and more opportunities to make money. Mali yan.
Sir, isingit ko na rin, sir. Yung political party reform bill na hindi na umusad. The one banning yung switching of sides basta after elections. And yung political party, possible public funding for political parties. Do you see any value there?
Well, alam niyo, ako, we really need a political party system that ours is not. Ours are just political parties of convenience. Nagsasama-sama sila when it involves a common objective. Pero wala talagang ideology yung mga partido except ideology for themselves. That's the yan ang anak nung feudalistic system ng political dynasties. Ang sabi nga, maski World Bank sinabi nila, naku, ang Pilipinas, there are 200 clans in the Philippines, right? Until we dismantle yung ating political system of dynastic families, we will not have real change in this country, right? I'll give you an example. Yung 20 to 2016, yung real ages of labor, hindi inakyat. Lahat inakyat. Pero yung labor real earnings, hindi umakyat. Can you imagine? For 6 years, meron namang growth yung productivity and so on. Kailangan na atupagin nila. Tingnan nila yung mga ganyang oppressive, unjust structures and laws that are misinterpreted or abused. At linisin nila yan. Rather than pagbaguhin yung constitution tapos, by the way, mas mahaba ngayon ng term ko at saka my term ends in 2025 pero meron akong extension to 2028. Ibigyan mo ng 3 years in office itong mga ito.
Pero sir, at the same time, we have a problem of having Congress basically being an assembly of political families. So what change can you expect from there?
We will never have real change until we get rid of this system of political dynasties. And we are only cutting at the branches. We must strike at the roots of the problem. And umpisa na, dapat umpisahan yung anti-dynasty law. Nasaan yan? 36 years na.
Sir, kabilang po ako. Si Speaker Romualdez said na next year they will start discussions on charter change in the lower chamber. But possibly though beginning with the people's initiative to determine if any changes can be made or should be made with both chambers voting separately or jointly. That's always been a big question, di ba?
Wala na yung question na both the Senate and the House have already accepted that it's voting separately. You don't even need to change the Constitution. Tingnan mo yung proposal ni Senator Robin Padilla, di ba? Sabi niya separately, right? Tingnan mo yung mga proposals na nanggagaling sa House. Sinasabi nila voting separately. That's not an issue anymore. It's accepted. It must be. Because ordinary laws, voting separately. Why would the Constitution, changing Constitution, forbid voting separately? Hindi pwede. Okay? So tapos na yung issue yun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I understand, sir. But at the same time, these were decisions made by the two chambers without putting it on paper. I mean, without passing any laws to put that on paper. In other words, the Congress leadership could always change its mind and decide to vote jointly. That's why the speaker is now saying that they need to determine first if it should be separate voting or joint voting. It's being raised. In other words, it's being raised again.
So why don't they look at the rules of the House? Nakalagay dun sa rules of the House, amendments to the Constitution should follow the system of ordinary laws. That's already in the rules.
That's separate voting.
What's he talking about?
Okay.
So sa akin, itong, at saka yung People's Initiative, how much will that cost? How much will that cost to have a nationwide referendum? Tapos kukuha ka ng 3% per district and 12% nationwide. Magkano ang gagastusin dyan? Pareho ng Constitutional Convention. Magkano ang gagastusin dyan? Sabi ni Congressman Rufus Rodriguez, it will take about 9.5 billion pesos kasi meron referendum na kasama. So, bakit natin ginagastos ang pera dyan? Ang daming dapat gawin o magagawa kung hindi inaaksya yung pera natin sa mga ganyan na pangsarili lang naman ang objective.
Mm-hmm. Sir, one more, sir. The president last week said when he was asked about charter change, sabi niya, we're looking at opportunities for more investments to come in. So I suppose from the point of view Malacanang, it's more of economic provisions than of political provisions as proposed by Robin Padilla. My question, sir, is we've already had several changes in the economic landscape done without going into charter change. For example, yung the Retail Investments Law and yung Public Services Act. Ano pa yung nakikitang I don't know, from your point of view, do you still see any need to tinker with economic provisions in the Constitution? What could they be?
Okay, let me put it this way. Last January 2023, yung NEDA board, ang chairman dyan si President Bongbong Marcos.
Mm-hmm.
Sinabi nila na the Philippines is now open for business kasi we already passed a law on sinasabi mo nga yung 1159, di ba, yung public service, tapos ease of doing business, tapos yung renewable energy, at saka of course, since before, under the EPIRA, power generation can be 100% owned. My question is this. About 4 years ago, there were 50 Japanese companies who were leaving China. So tinanong sa kanila, where are you going? So I named 4. Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines. Tayo kulelat. Right? They did not, they were number 4. Why? Ang rason nila is because of quote-unquote investment climate. They did not mention any need for charter change because yung manufacturing can be 100% foreign-owned. Di ba? Bakit hindi na napag-aralan yan yung investment climate? And that includes corruption. At saka yung mga pork barrel dyan that should not be there. And alam naman ng mga may reputasyon naman tayo na dyan ang paghihirap. Hindi yan ang problema ang konstitusyon. Ang problema ay investment climate. Ano nangyari dyan? Hindi po ba? Hindi sila papasok. Bakit? Those are 50 Japanese manufacturing companies. Ba't tayo kulelat? Because of the investment climate, not because of the Constitution. And sabi nga ng Philippine Development Plan, there are 400 pages. And then the president is the chairman. There is not a single program of government under the Philippine Development Plan that requires charter change. Now, number 2, yung mga investment pledges na nakuha ni President Marcos sa kanyang trips abroad, at least 63 billion, maybe it's now about 80 billion. Is there any condition in those investment pledges for a change in the Constitution? Wala. So what are we saying that the Constitution is a hindrance to foreign direct investment?
Well, I also heard, sir, for example, in other Southeast Asian countries, mas mahigpit pa yung land ownership regulations versus the Philippines, and yet investors are going there, like to Vietnam, to China. And they have stricter, more stringent land regulation ownership rules.
Yes. At saka sa atin po, ang land is not just an economic asset. It is a social asset. To the poor, land represents to them their emancipation into the mainstream of our society. Iba sa atin kasi we have a history of colonization and historical injustice. Kaya importante sa mahihirap na meron naman silang lupa. Ngayon lang masama na nangyayari sa ating countries Tumataas masyado ang presyo ng land, di ba? It's beyond the reach of the poor, yung ating land. And even the foreign chambers of commerce admit that lifting land restrictions may raise land prices beyond the reach of the poor. That's the foreign foreign chambers of commerce saying that. Ano nangyayari sa atin? Can the poor still afford land? Ngayon lang, ganun na. Ano pa ang gagawin nyo? Papataasin pa nyo yung presyo ng lupa?
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Sir, last na sir. What about foreign equity in Philippine business? Is there any need to loosen up on that one? The 60-40 rule.
There's, it depends. Yung 60-40 rule is on certain natural resources, yung
Yes, sir.
public utilities and so on. No? At saka, by the way, on natural resources, in mining, under Section 2 of Article 12, there can be a mining operation that is 100% equity foreign, but in partnership with the government. That is Article 12, Section 2. So, allowed yun eh. But under conditions of our own, na dapat nandyan din ng gobyerno to make sure na hindi nila ginagawa yung tinatawag na externalities of mining. You know, yung mga environmental problems and so on. We did a study of the Sagittarius mining in Cotabato. Yung at saka sinasabi nila na mining daw will start industrialization in the Philippines. Hindi eh. Ang ginagawa nila, ina-export nila ore, iron ore, period. Or there's 17 kilometers of conveyor belt to transport iron. Tapos yung mga mining effects of mining,
Hukay.
1.35 billion, you know, of mining waste. Pag pumutok yun, it will affect 200,000 hectares of agricultural land. Bakit wala tayong industrialization based on our natural resources? Bakit wala?
Like processing, for example, the minerals here in the country.
They export the iron ore. Dadaan yan sa kanilang mga companies, value added, magiging final product. Pagdating sa atin, ang taas ang binabayad natin. Kasi yung value added nila, yung ating pagbili nila sa ating iron ore, napakamura. Pero pagdating sa atin, yung final product, napakamahal. Kasi wala tayong industrialization based on our natural resources. And that was promised to us by these foreign investors all this time. Hindi nila tinutupad yan kasi madaling makalusot. Yung mining proposal of Duterte and Aquino, si President Aquino, tsaka yung Duterte, it died in committee, yung mining reform. Ang yabang-yabang pa ng mining companies, madali yan, pera lang yan. Hindi, the proposals were never sent to plenary session of Congress. Come on. It's all about money, isn't it? And about power.
Okay. Always an interesting way to start the morning with Attorney Christian Monsod. Sir, I'm afraid we're out of time, but I'd like to say thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to have you on board, Attorney Christian Monsod, from the 1997 Constitutional Convention and former Comelec Commissioner. Thank you, sir, for joining us this morning.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you po. Ingat po. We will just go into a break, so please stay with us. and good morning. Welcome back to Agenda. We have with us this morning political scientist Professor Edmund Tayao, who joins us live on the phone. Sir, good morning and welcome back to the program.
Good morning, Ed. Good morning to all your viewers.
Hi, sir. Sir, interesting proposal coming from Senator Robin Padilla with resolution number 5, adding 30 regional senators, extending terms of office of legislators and LGUs, and plus tandem voting. So, medyo significant yung mga changes na gusto niya sa political level, hindi lang economic. Sir, your thoughts, sir?
Well, I think it's an effort by Senator Robin to get the political leaders consider his proposals. If you remember, his proposal before was quite more comprehensive, shift to a parliamentary system. But for obvious reasons, this is a hard sell as far as political leaders are concerned.
Ito, I suppose medyo well, he did put in a lot of amendments based on his previous proposal. Ngayon mas focus siya ng konti dun sa for example, from 24 senators now 54 senators, 30 of them being elected regionally. And then changes in the terms of office. Some terms of office increasing by 50%, some increasing by almost 100%. How do you think that the public will respond to that kind of a proposal?
I don't know, Ed, where that came from. If your thoughts, if you think that suggest some kind of focus. My question really is where did these numbers come from? Kasi alam mo, in the first place, you cannot just increase the number of senators and assume that they will be representing regions without making sense of whether you're still unitary or federal. Kasi alam mo, karamihan ng bansa, pagka hindi federal, unicameral, because the second chamber is always a way to represent the states or the federated regions, if I may use the term that we used in the last CONCOM. Pero kung i-retain din lang natin yung ganitong struktura na unitary, there's no reason why you are going to increase the number of senators. In the first place, it's kind of oxymoron. Kung may time lang tayo, I'd go back in history and tell
actually,
everyone.
I think we should also schedule another one with the lengthier amount of time. Kasi iba you have senators, regional senators, iba yung senators from the regions in the Senate, National Senate.
That's right. When you say regional centers, Ed, just to be quick, these are administrative regions, and administrative regions do not have political power. So in fact, administrative regions usually, the leaders of which, whether they're called director or governor or whatever, are appointed by the president. And once you're appointed by the president, it's like MMDA, you're under the office of the president. So there's no political power there. There's no decentralization. There's no autonomy there.
Sir, I suppose yung maybe the best example would be in the US, diba? In this you have state senators.
That's right.
That's quite different from what Senator Padilla is proposing. Hindi parehong election niya.
Very different. Kaya nga minsan hindi ko alam kung bakit pinipilit natin gayan yung mga Amerikano. In the first place, iba yung kasaysayan nila, Ed. Bago pa nagkaroon ng federal US, meron ng mga state government. Kaya nga may kanya-kanyang konstitusyon yung mga yan. So kaya bago pa nagkaroon ng federal Congress, meron ng state Congress. So iba yung kanilang public institutions na kumbaga nagka-shape yung mga yan as a result of their history. This is the reason why when you draft a constitution, you just don't copy from other constitutions. You make sense of the context. You make sense of the history of a country. Kaya hindi ako dito, sabi mo na mukhang focus na ngayon. At the end of the day, you cannot just nitpick or cherry pick what provisions you think might be palatable or acceptable no, to the public or whoever you're trying to entice, no, just to get them in line.
Sir, cambio lang ako, sir. Cambio quickly. From political to economic, the president said last week, again, open the door to possible amendments in the charter for economic reasons. We're looking at here is the opportunity of those who'd like to invest here, but somehow the laws that derive from the Constitution when it comes to economic provisions do not allow them to or make it non-viable for them. The president told reporters, my primary interest is to try to make the country an investment-friendly place. We've had some changes in the last year to the economic landscape without going to charter change. For example, yung Public Services Act and the Retail Investment Law. What other possible changes could there be dun sa Constitution as far as the economy is concerned?
Ed, even if we come up with several laws that seem to open the economy, with this restriction will still be there, no, in the Constitution. But apart from that, again, it's wrong to assume that when someone says, "Oh, economic lang," it will plain and simple be the provisions that talk about economics, no, in the Constitution or whichever law. Will be affected. In fact, if you're going to review those laws that you've mentioned, merong kasama palaging ahensya yan, may kasama palaging mekanismo. And it is in the mechanism, it is in the creation of agencies, it's in the running of the agencies that require political reform. Kasi it's as if when you open up the economy, you open up all kinds of economic opportunities in the country to everyone. So anyone who has money to burn, can come in, and definitely will affect domestic competition. So kung wala kang regulasyon and there's no agency that will effectively regulate, and you know already what I mean, unless we're able to curb corruption, di naman natin matatanggal yan entirely. But once if we will not be able to make the agencies actually work efficiently, and make them accountable, including the political leaders, because at the end of the day, it's political leaders that make decisions, make policy direction, and so on. Unless we reform the political setup, your economic reform will just be, if not ineffective, will just be abused. So I think the president knows that, and I know that personally. I've worked with him when he was a senator, and so I'm confident that likely he and his team has seen the limitations of legislations that are already there that supposedly aim to attract more foreign investments. By the way, Ed, if I may just insert, naunahan na tayo ng Vietnam. At November 2020, mas mayaman na ang Vietnam sa atin by per capita GDP. If we go by, this World Bank and ADB scores, which means that foreign direct investments have been really working, in favor of Vietnam. And you can just imagine how it has been working for the longest time as far as Thailand and Indonesia is concerned. So we're very far behind when it comes to really attracting more foreign capital to come in.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of branded items made in Vietnam being sold in the Philippines. So that also says a lot. Sir, like I said a while ago, I think this bears a longer discussion with you, especially coming from your commission's mission in the last administration, where you drafted proposals for amendments in the Constitution. So, but I'll have to park it here muna. We are out of time. I apologize for that, but we do want to bring you back in particular to talk about this topic, maybe possibly sometime this week.
No problem, Ed. Just let me know, and I'll make time for you.
We'll schedule better next time. I apologize for that for that problem. But sorry, we will schedule better next time. Maraming salamat po, Professor Edmund Tayao, political scientist, one of our favorites here in the show. Thank you, sir. And that's today's agenda. Keep it here on Cignal TV's channel 8 and 250. For the latest news, I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.